If you're a fan of anime and manga, the odds are that you've at least heard of a certain series called Naruto. It's one of the world's best-selling manga of all time, selling hundreds and hundreds of millions of copies worldwide. However, the story of our favourite little knuckle-headed ninja could have, and was, very, very different ones. Masashi Kishimoto, the creator of Naruto, actually kick-started the franchise with a very strange pilot chapter way back in 1997, 2 whole years before the original Naruto we all know and love had even started. Before we jump into this though, I do want to say a huge thank you to T-Bry on YouTube. I, in true YouTube fashion, straight up nabbed this guy's idea. I really recommend checking his channel out if you're a fan of the Naruto franchise, as he does some really great content. Anyway, back to the video. At first glance, you may look at this and think to yourself, oh, it's the same? Trust me, this is not the same. So today I thought we'd have a little look through the story that really started it all. One of the only constants between the two stories in actuality is probably Naruto's struggle. Even in this iteration of the story, Naruto is still a victim of social outcasting. Rather than just playing harmless little pranks here and there to get the attention of his peers, however, this Naruto is a straight up bully because of it. The story begins showing us that Naruto plays a prank on another kid from his school for calling him a monster. But Naruto doesn't just leave it at that. Instead, he proceeds to, and honest to God, I'm not taking the piss here, okay? I really wish I was. But Naruto straight up urinates on the kid. Seriously, like, I can't believe I'm saying this. Put it away, Naruto, for God's sake. But in all seriousness, this is a huge change in character for Naruto. Despite getting the same treatment from those around him, his way of coping with this discrimination is very different. It's seemingly a much more revenge-driven anger towards those around him, making me question that if this trait of Naruto was later recycled into Sasuke's character. The plot of this Naruto, like its future counterpart, is built upon the story of a 9-tailed demon fox attack where 9 warriors fought to save their hometown by sealing the fox away. Only one of these fearless warriors actually survived, who we can see years later in the story as a sort of Hiruzen and Sage of Six Path hybrid. But the big shock is the reveal of Naruto's true identity. You may think that the 9-tailed fox was sealed away inside Naruto by the 9 warriors, and well, I can't blame you, as that is how the real Naruto plays out after all. But in this version, Naruto isn't even human. He's actually a monster fox. Yes, that's right, Naruto is the 9-tailed fox's son. I can't be the one that thinks that is, quite frankly, crazy to think about. The main premise of this one-shot is built upon trust, as Mr. Sage of Six Hiruzen's tasks Naruto to make friends with a human, hoping it would stop Naruto one day becoming like his father. This builds the foundations of the chapter going forward, setting up the plot. In an attempt to escape this lecture, however, Naruto actually uses the transformation jutsu, and he's surprisingly good at it. The only complications he has is that each time he does it, he has a foxtail. One other fun thing to take note of is that rather than weaving the classic hand signs we're all used to, Naruto instead uses a Naruto Maki to perform his transformations. In fact, there's not really any of the power systems we're used to. No mention of chakra, there's no dojutsu, and certainly no Rasengans. Instead, what you've got are motorbikes for getting from place to place, and even guns. Like, guns! I can't even begin to think what the Naruto franchise would be like with... Oh, wait, hang on a minute. But I digress. Naruto is tasked to find a human friend, as I said, and he's not allowed to return to the mountain, which is the equivalent of the Leaf Village, by the way, except it's got its own city-like infrastructure. It's a bit more like the modern version of the Leaf Village in Boruto. And on his journey, Naruto stops off for some food at, you guessed it, Ichiraku Ramen. Arguably, the most iconic thing to have been carried over into the main series. This is where Naruto meets a very drunk man named Kuroda and an accompanying police sergeant called Matsushima. Kuroda is an artist entrusted with repairing a famous painting named Symbol, while Matsushima is the one protecting the painting while the repairs are being finished. Kuroda, however, passes out from exhaustion, causing Matsushima to leave him behind at the ramen store. Naruto ends up finding himself having to walk Kuroda home, and once arriving at Kuroda's studio, Naruto meets Takano Takashi, Kuroda's assistant, and sees the famous painting. Naruto picks up on the unique aroma of the painting thanks to his enhanced sense of smell from being a fox. Takano then explains that this is due to the particular kind of paint that was used. Later that night, Takashi, Kuroda and Naruto engage in some drinking. Yes, Naruto Uzumaki took part in some underage drinking. During this, Naruto uses the first ever incarnation of the sexy jutsu. Yes, a drunk underage Naruto performs the sexy jutsu in front of two older men. I can't help but think that there's a very dark underlying tone going on here. Anyway, after the very weird part they have comes to an end, Kuroda tells Naruto to give up on his goal of finding someone to trust. This is where it's revealed that Kuroda is sort of Naruto's parallel. Naruto, who can't get anybody to trust him, finds himself in a room with someone who believes you should not trust anyone other than yourself. After some bonding with Takashi, Kuroda's assistant, Naruto learns Kuroda's twisted past. This is where the main dark twist of the chapter takes place. Once Naruto has been sent to bed, Takashi is ambushed during an armed robbery where he is shot dead. The gun is then left in Naruto's bag, framing him for the murder of the only person Naruto came close to trusting. After Naruto realizes the situation, he claims that he will be the one to find the true killer. This somehow works. He's then set free to find the killer, and Kuroda is then imprisoned in his place, just because why not, I suppose? Anyway, after a week of searching, Naruto finds his first clue as he visits a police officer from the scene of the crime. Upon meeting this police officer, however, Naruto picks up on the unique smell of the painting on the police officer. This of course causes some suspicion with Naruto, and the police officer reaches for his knife, and then it immediately cuts to the police officer at Sergeant Matsushima's apartment, claiming that Naruto had been killed for coming after the painting. This is when we then see a foxtail pop out, showcasing to the reader that it was Naruto all along in disguise and that he'd previously defeated the police officer he went to visit. And then we reach the climax. Naruto enters his true fox form. This is the first ever Nine Tails mode Naruto, and it looks different, weird, unusual. I really don't know if I like it. Personally, I don't think it sits right with me at all, yet it is interesting to see the first ever depiction of Naruto's nine-tailed cloak. And at last, we reach the emotional ending of the chapter as Naruto defeats Matsushima. Kuroda and Naruto shake hands to declare their trustworthy relationship and the end of Naruto's training. Overall, this version of the fan favourite tale is an unusual one to say the least. While sticking to some of the core themes we end up seeing, its way of tackling these themes are quite different. Now obviously this is down to several reasons. Firstly, Naruto was still a fresh concept in Kishimoto's mind at this point and not in place to become the worldwide phenomenon it would one day grow to be. Meaning many things such as Dojutsu, Sasuke and the overall setting had likely not been thought about yet. Also, this was only a single one-shot trying to cram a complete thematic approach worth telling into a measly 45 pages. That being said, however, Kishimoto clearly had much more of a futuristic, or at least modern day setting in mind for Naruto, which was then scrapped in the final version. This must have been a tough decision for Kishi, as his love and passion for the sci-fi medium is common knowledge by this point, as we've seen in both Boruto and his second and most recent series, Samurai 8. Let me know in the comment section down below whether or not you would have liked to have seen Naruto stick on this path for the remainder of the series, or if you're glad that the changes that were made got enforced. Also, be sure to leave a like on this video if you found it interesting and enjoyed. Subscribe if you're not already to become a member of the Senpai Squad. And as always, I'll be seeing you guys in another video very, very soon. But until then, peace.